My name's Amanda Wynne, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm a horror writer, and I'm excited to create this space for me to share my work with you. This is a short horror episode where I'll be reading from one of my short horror stories, followed by a brief discussion of the background. This episode, I'll be reading Home Improvements, which was first published in 2022 by Spread the Word in the City of Stories Home Anthology. Home Improvements by Amanda Wynne. I remember she had loads of knives sticking out of her, though. The young woman trailed off, face as red as her scarf. Please don't think I'm crazy, said her upward gaze. Come on, thought you had a challenge for me. Jean's voice boomed over the bookshelves, followed by his elongated blonde-topped head. We've got that exact edition. Your pincushion lady is a still from the film. He beamed up at her. It's Carrie, by Stephen King. The young woman's eyes lit up. She murmured a quick thanks and hurried away. Take out some of his others too, Jean called after her. You're going to like his stuff. He rested his elbows on top of the metal bookcase, head height for most, chest height for him. He blinked in the low winter sun, magnified through the great glass wall of the library. Jean! A bespectacled woman appeared at his side. He turned his many-toothed smile on her. What can I help you with today? It's a lady writer, she said with pride, adjusting the bangles on her arm. Crime. I can't remember her name. I just know she has 3 of them. Jean reached, spider-like, all the way over the bookcase to tap at the shelves on the opposite side. Mary Higgins Clark, he said warmly. The woman hurried round to look. Across the library, a newly arrived gaggle of teens looked uncertainly around the room. Far corner, Jean called over, craning his other arm up and over his shoulder to point awkwardly behind him. The bespectacled woman whispered, What's in the corner? Twilight, said Jean, with a pained expression. How do you know that's what they're after? Jean smiled. I'm just that good. The teens soon piped down, sinking into the cushions, books in hand. The library settled into serene sun-kissed page rustling, before an extremely large man with a mobile phone slammed open the door. He stopped barking into his phone just long enough to instruct the hunched woman behind him to sort printing some documents, then walked over to enjoy the view from the windows. The woman went straight to the printers, fumbling for her card with unsteady fingers. When you done with that? She jumped as Jean appeared beside her. I'd like to try to tempt you again with this. He jiggled a DIY book in her peripheral vision. I told you, we're not looking to do any home improvements, she said softly, eyes darting between the printer and her husband's back. Check it out, have a flick through, said Jean. Chapter 3, lots of ideas for nice inconspicuous patios. His gaze flicked to the husband too. The colour drained from the wife's face. Buck up, said Jean, brandishing a second book. You might consider this one too. Taxes for Dummies, she read with a frown. Don't forget to buy your birthday lottery ticket next week, said Jean. Jean smiled, showing a few too many teeth. But if I were you, I'd get that patio sorted first. So this story, Home Improvements, was published as part of a competition in 2022 where 2 writers were picked from each London borough for inclusion in the City of Stories Home Anthology, published by Spread the Word in collaboration with London Libraries. My story was the highly commended entry for the London Borough of Havering, and it was amazing to be chosen to be part of the book. Copies were given out for free in London libraries back in 2022, but it might be harder to get physical copies now. However, if you would like to read the full anthology, there is a link to the online version on my website, amandawynne.com. My story takes place in a fictionalised Havering library and was inspired by a friend who used to work in a Havering library. One day he told me the story of being able to guess a library visitor was after books by Mary Higgins Clark, just based on the clues mentioned in the short story. In real life, the secret was he had literally just been shelving her books, but still a pretty magical moment for all concerned. In the home improvement story, I've taken the idea of a librarian who knows exactly what book you want or need and stretched it into something a little more unsettling or comforting, depending on your point of view. It's left deliberately vague as to whether Jean is a benevolent or sinister creature, or if he just enjoys meddling in people's lives. Also, deliberately unclear is whether he's simply responding to what he can read in people's minds, or potentially in the future, or whether he is actively seeking to manipulate them for his own amusement. Either way, it's a fun concept to play with. As a final note, the patio renovation suggestion is a tongue in cheek reference to a plot in the TV series Brookside from back in the 90s, where a wife bumps off her husband and hides his body under the patio. And I would be very interested to know if you got that from the first listen of my story. So, thank you for joining me to talk about home improvements. I look forward to seeing you for future episodes. In the meantime, if you enjoy my writing, I'd love it if you would take a look at my horror novel Flatcoat, available on Amazon and other online stores. And if you prefer to listen rather than to watch, my content is also available on the podcast Amanda Has Haunting Horror, and you can learn more about my work on my website, amandawynne.com. It's been great to have you. Keep creepy and see you again soon.